This episode of Own the Grey is brought to you by I Am. Discover your unique talents, realize your potential, and align to your path. Take the first step to uncover your life purpose by visiting debrajones.ca/courses. Do you have clothing in your closet that you can't wear but you can't get rid of? Do you have a storage room full of boxes that you never open up? Have you ever thought about what will happen to all your stuff when you're gone? The stuff you accumulate could be creating unnecessary stress and anxiety, and my next guest has the solution. Welcome to Own the Grey, a podcast to dispel the notion that aging is undesirable and setting new, positive attitudes. I'm Deborah Jones, and I believe you can be vibrant and healthy throughout the best years of your life. Lisa Jackson recently lost her brother, and her experience dealing with his estate and organizing his belongings was a huge emotional ordeal. This experience motivated her to find a way to help others avoid the additional stress of taking care of others' belongings or the stress of having to downsize. She became a move management specialist for seniors with Downsizing Diva and proudly serves the Dufferin-Caledon area. If you need to reduce the amount of stuff you've accumulated over a lifetime so that you can move into a smaller home or residence, or you want to simplify your life, she has the solution for you. There's an art and a science to the process, and today she's here to share professional tips for decluttering, organizing, and letting go of our stuff. So if you've got things that you don't know how to part with, you just might find a way after you've listened to this episode. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's really common for us to accumulate so much stuff that we even build sheds or rent storage space or at least fill every cupboard and drawer to the max. Why do you think we do this?
Yes, that is very common. We see it a lot. And it's, it happens back in the day when somebody passed away, you tend to inherit all their belongings, whether it be the china setting, the dining room suite, or the 350-piece doll collection that somebody had. And you felt like even if you didn't want it, you took it anyway. And because you didn't want to disappoint anybody, you didn't want to make anybody feel bad. So now parting with these items is that's been in the family for years can be overwhelming for some people. People have an emotional attachment to these things. And at some point in your life, you may collect 3 sets of china, your own from your wedding, your parents' china set, and then in some cases your in-laws set. So it's hard to let go of these items because of the emotional attachment. And then in other cases, people think possessions are a sign of wealth. All the billboards and all the ads and society tells us that this is the more stuff you have, the wealthier you are, the more fulfilled you are. So we buy and we accumulate and we collect things to make us feel full and make us feel worthy.
That goes to the point I wanted to bring up about the story of stuff. It was put on YouTube about 10 years ago, and it's really talking about how it exposes the connection between our environmental and social issues and how our obsession with stuff is trashing the planet and it's affecting our health and happiness. And so it was focused on, and I'll put a link in the show notes, but it was focused on quality of life rather than the quantity of stuff. And it was showing us that we go to work and then we're watching TV after work and it tells us we've got to buy something. And so we go out and we spend money, and then we need more money. So we go to work. So then we
Right.
watch the TV when we get home, and then we need something. We're told we need something to fulfill our lives. And then we go buy it. And then we have to go back to
Yep.
work again. And it's that cycle that we're all in unconsciously, except now that COVID has hit, we start to not do that spending. Well, unless Amazon, I guess Amazon's always there for us,
Yeah.
but we're still watching the ads, we're still listening, and society is telling us that we need something to be fulfilled. Yeah, totally agree with you.
hmm Yeah. Endless cycle.
So many of us have become quite sensitive about our connection with our stuff. As you said, there's an emotional attachment. And I understand that you do your job with care and compassion, and wherever possible, you throw in a bit of humor there. What do you think are the hardest things to let go of when we're trying to eliminate clutter?
Family heirlooms is the biggest one. So as I just mentioned, it's hard to part with not only just the item itself that you have an emotional attachment with, but maybe the person that left you it, the person that you just lost had an emotional attachment to it. So you don't want to get rid of it or pass it on. You're trying to honor the emotional attachment that your loved one had to it. So
Mm.
you keep it in memory of that. Paper is a huge one, and we're all guilty of keeping several years of paper. For taxes, you only need to hold on to 7 years of paper, but people have a lifetime of it, whether it be every bill, every bank statement, every birthday card, old love letters. So people hold on to this a lot. Books is another big one. People have shelves and shelves worth of books. And even though you can read anything you want on the internet now, people like to hold on to the book and turn the pages and smell the book. And, but some of the ways to start downsizing those quickly is keep the ones that you know you're going to read again. Maybe give your family and friends ones that you know that they'll enjoy. And there's lots of charities that have annual book sales that you can donate those to.
Hmm. One of our listeners asked, how can I deal with the emotional attachment to something I don't really need, but I can't get rid of? How do you help a client with that situation?
There's nothing wrong with keeping items either. We're not suggesting you throw everything away. So if something means that much to you, keep it. There's different ways of keeping it. If it's something that maybe doesn't fit your decor or your living room, it's too small, it's too big, it collects dust. Get a decorative box. All these home stores sell these decorative boxes. You can put little things in there. So, when you feel like you want to go down memory lane, pull the box off the shelf and sit down and go through these pieces. It's a nice way to keep those memories alive. There's no guilt of getting rid of it, and it brings you happy to look at it every once in a while.
What about if we took a photograph of these items and just kept the photograph?
Yes, and we suggest that in some cases too. And it depends on how you have to read the person, and if they really really want it, there's nothing wrong with keeping it. But if the person's kind of impartial, then that is a great suggestion to be able to give to somebody. If it's a big piece of furniture and they have no room for it, or they're paying a storage unit to hold this piece of furniture, then yes, that is a perfect solution for that.
So, with your company, you specialize in helping seniors. So often they have to downsize, move to a smaller home or an apartment or even to a residence. And sometimes there is for most of us a lifetime of accumulation. What is the process that we go through when we need to do that? How do you help us?
Everybody is different. We sit with a client and we have during our consultation, we do a specialized, customized moving plan. So depending on the needs, maybe they just need us to come in, pack up their belongings, organize the move, coordinate everything involved with the move, and then unpack them at their new residence. Sometimes there is more involved and they need our help to maybe coordinate the distribution of the items that they won't be bringing with them. So whether it be deliver it to some family members, we've packaged stuff up, we've mailed things to family members, we drive things, we deliver. So maybe it might involve that. If there's a house worth of items, we've had auctions. We work together with some auction houses, so we do that, and that brings money back into the client's pocket for their items. So we do everything from start to finish, and it all depends on the client's needs. We adapt to it, and we just make it happen.
So, when is a good time to start thinking about downsizing?
I guess, there's always a good time. It's never too early, it's never too late. If your plan is to move into a retirement residence by the time you're 70 or 80 or 75 or 80, then maybe 70 years old is a good time to slowly work away at it. Start small by getting rid of items that no longer work, that no longer make you happy, you no longer use, that need repair. Start to get rid of those items. Downsize wardrobes. If you're now retired, then you don't necessarily need all your suits and all your ties. And there's ways to do it slowly and gradually. So then when you are ready to downsize, you're ready to sell your house, you're ready. You don't have to worry about downsizing, selling your house, finding a new house all at once. You've gradually, over the years, have prepared yourself for this part of your life.
Mm-hmm. Which leads me to something that I discovered just recently. It's actually a new trend that's starting. It's a practical new design trend, they call it,
Mm-hmm.
about purging the unnecessary things in your life so that your loved ones don't have to do it when you're gone. It's called Swedish death cleaning. That's a crazy name and it sounds a little morbid, but that's exactly it, isn't it? Once we're gone, somebody else has got to deal with our stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit
I
about
do.
that?
Yes, I've read the book. I've read her book, and she does come across they're all very good points, and it makes a lot of sense. And nobody wants to talk about death, but she explains that, it's inevitable, it's going to happen, and nobody should be afraid to talk about it. She prepared herself for years. So when she dies, her 5 children didn't have to deal with all of her things. She had a lifetime of stuff that she treasured. So she gradually started with the wardrobe, started with the books, and she would go to somebody's house and bring one of her little trinket box as a gift to the host. She gave away all her things to kids. They took all the tools. So it is something that she enjoyed doing on a gradual basis. And when it was time for her to move, she had exactly what she needed and nothing more. I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
great idea. I think it's a great idea. And it gives you're in the driver's seat. So you have now given your grandson or your daughter exactly what you want them to have. You've
Mm-hmm.
given to charity what you want them to have. So if you leave all that stuff, then your kids have to deal with it, or another family has to deal with it, and your wishes might not be carried out.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point. I know I was watching a video and it was talking about how a mother with her daughters, when her daughters would come visit her, she would listen really intently when she heard something that they said about an item. So, for instance, the cup and saucer, and how one of the daughters would say, "Oh, I remember doing a tea party with my friends when I was young." And so what this woman did was she put that item aside and put a label with the name of that child on it, and maybe even a little note saying, "I know you love me," with your cup and saucer and your tea time. And so when the children were taking care of her estate when she had gone, it was like a beautiful, emotional trip down memory lane. And I thought that
It
was a
would be.
really interesting thing because it also gets you to look at your stuff in a subjective way rather than that emotional attachment to
That's right.
it. Right. And so I
That's
thought
right.
that was a really beautiful story, and maybe I will do something like that. But it
It
takes
is.
years of prep and planning and just a focus on it. And that's what I wanted today to be about, is to share the idea of what it means to do something with all of this stuff that we accumulate. And so that's why I wanted you to talk about, what are the detriments to hanging on to the stuff? What have you seen happens because people have so much stuff?
Well, it can cause anxiety in some people. It can be physical and mentally challenging, and everybody kind of has that room in their house where it's the catch-all, whether it be a spare room or it's a space in your basement, and it's where things go that you no longer use. It could be toys that have been outgrown, or clothes that you've outgrown, furniture that just need a slight repair. You might use it again someday. It's the catch-all. So at some point, there's no more room left in that room, and you try to tackle it, and you go down there and you look at it, and you get angry that you've let it come this far. So it causes anxiety. It can be overwhelming, and you look at it and you think, okay, I can't deal with this today. I need to be in a better frame of mind, and I'm going to look at this another day. And then the cycle repeats itself. So it doesn't get handled always in a timely fashion, and you need help. And then sometimes people don't want to ask for help because they're embarrassed.
So it's a big cycle, a
It's a big
stressful
cycle.
cycle. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I know that, and I'm guilty of it too, photographs. I felt that I was taught that photographs are sacred, that you can't throw photographs away, that's your history. That's the only thing left of the past is the photograph. What can you share with us about photographs?
Well, I agree. I took up photography as a hobby a couple of years ago, and I love it. So to throw away a picture for me is, I feel the exact same way. It's history, but there are ways to at least tidy them up. You can go through the pile, at least get rid of the doubles and the reprints that we all used to get to be able to share it. We don't need them anymore. So get rid of the doubles. If you have any blurred ones, get rid of those. A good suggestion is, if there's people in the picture and you don't know the names of everybody, if you don't know them, then your kids aren't going to know them. Their kids aren't going to know them. So another one that you should feel comfortable throwing away. So you have the pictures left that only you are going to treasure, your family's going to treasure, it's going to be handed down, and then organize them. Put them in, again, one of those decorative boxes, or a square basket, or some sort of filing system. And we put folders in them according to dates or according to places. If a lot of the pictures are travel, then you can make tabs according to where you've been, but definitely by year. So, if you're looking for something, all you have to do is flip through the files by year, by whatever your system may be, and you've got the pictures to be able to look at. And also handing down pictures at any time to your kids. You can put them in folders or put them in envelopes, and every time the kids come to visit, hand them 10 or 15 pictures of them when they were growing up. And now they've already got them. They don't have to worry about looking at them when the time comes.
I also read a tip about, while you remember who's in the photograph or when it was taken or where, write it on the back of the photograph, because
Yes,
there will come a time where we won't remember that.
that's right. That's right. Write it on the back, write it on the tab or something, but definitely write it down.
hmm So, Lisa, clutter is, what we think about clutter is stuff that we don't want and it's in our way. But are there different kinds of clutter?
There are several different kinds of clutter. There's your bargain clutter. Oh my gosh, look at this. It's on sale. I'm going to buy 20 of them. In reality, that shampoo or whatever it is you just purchased will probably be on sale again in a month or two, but you buy 20 of them, you get home, you have no place to put them. So now they are in the basement or they're in the back cupboard, they're in some sort of storage space where you're going to forget about it until you buy something else in a similar fashion and you're looking for somewhere to store it. There is the freebie clutter, soap samples that you get in the mail. And when you walk into a trade show or a home show, the first thing you get handed is a tote bag full of notepads and magnets. So you get home, you put the soap samples under the sink and you hang the tote on the doorknob where it stays for months and months and months. You have the aspirational clutter, which is craft supplies, is a good example of this. So you haven't had the time or the energy to make a wreath or a welcome sign in 4 years, yet your craft room looks like you sit there all day, every day creating. So you
Guilty.
people hold on, yeah, and people hold on to these in case one day they feel inspired. There's the buyer's remorse clutter, which we're all guilty of. You think, I'm going to add the color orange to my wardrobe. So you go to the store, you try on a top, and you think this is wonderful. I'm going to buy it. Maybe it's on sale. So you buy it in orange and you buy it in green. So you get home and it hangs in your closet. It was a bad decision. The price tags are still on it and it hangs there for months. You have the outgrown clutter. So you've got your kids' clothes and the toys that they've outgrown in the hopes that, someday they'll be able to be reused when grandchildren come along. Or you have the clothes that from your closet that you're keeping in hopes that when you lose that 20 or 30 pounds, you're going to reuse those clothes. And in reality, the time grandchildren come along or the time you lose the 30 pounds in order to fit back into those jeans, styles have changed.
Mm.
And or you want to buy new clothes. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah, guilty. There's always that
Everybody.
there's always that idea, and I think it was born from going through the war when people didn't have many belongings, and so keeping everything was a way of comforting ourselves to get rid of that fear of lack. And so I think from my parents' generation, definitely I see it there, but I'm sure that comes down the pipeline. And I learned some of those behaviors too. I used to keep a collection of stones and pebbles under my bed simply because I had access to them and it made me feel wealthy, until,
Yes.
there came a time where, mother, why do you have stones and pebbles under your bed? But I think there is a psychology behind the fear of lack, the fear of missing out or not having it. And I do know I've gone through that process, going through my closet. This is too good to give away, or it had an emotional attachment. I wore this for this particular occasion, so it has a feel good. And I think
Mm-hmm.
the emotional aspect and the fear of letting go is a huge deal. So with your business, you must deal with so many different scenarios, and to have somebody with compassion, I would think, is totally essential in that situation.
You do have to have compassion. You have to listen to the client. They're going to have stories. They have stories on how they got this item, how they won this item, how they earned this item. And for me, I love hearing the stories. I want to know. I want to know how you got this piece of whatever it is that I've never seen before. I've never seen a picture. I've never seen it live. I want to know the story behind it and how you accumulated it. I think for some, once they tell the story, they have somebody to sit with and talk to and share their beliefs, share their endeavors, share some of their life. That helps a lot. And to be able to ask them to find a way to pass it on, whether it be a family member, we like to encourage to donate it to secondhand stores because secondhand stores help families that are in need. They help the hospitals in the area. We like to keep everything that we're donating local to the home that we are helping downsize. So it helps their community. So being able to structure the conversation in that way helps them. It helps them sometimes let go of it because they feel happy about donating to somebody else who's going to love it just as much as they do.
And I imagine that you've got a lot of stories to share. Do you have any funny stories that you can share with us?
um, yes, there is one that stands out. We were cleaning out a home of a man who passed away, and his kids hired us to clean out the home because they didn't live locally. So they had kind of gone through the home and taken what they needed quickly, and that was it. And they said, if you find any papers, any relevant papers or any pictures, can you please set those aside, mail them to us, and we'll kind of go through them at a later date. So in the home, in the living room, we set out 2 boxes, one for paper, one for pictures. And as we went along, we would just add to it and organize it later. So we're going through. He had tons of books, and we fan out the books because, believe it or not, people still hide money in books. So every time we turn the book upside down, fan it out. And one time a picture fell out, pick it up off the floor, and it's a naked photograph of the gentleman who just passed away.
Oh my.
So you're holding on to this, and you've been instructed to hand over all the pictures, but we can't do it. We made an executive decision that there was no need for his kids to see this picture. If there's something that's going to embarrass you, we'll take care of it.
Good call. I think that's a
We
good call.
disposed of it. Yeah.
So that idea of, what might people find when they're going through your stuff. I also read somewhere that keep a box and put only the things that matter to you, maybe those kinds of photographs in it, with an instruction label on the top saying, upon my death, please dispose. And you can save a lot
throw
of
this
stress
away.
and embarrassment for your
A lot.
friends.
And if you got handed that box, you'd probably still you'd be curious to what's
but then
inside
it would be
I know
your
I
own
would
fault.
be. Exactly.
on your own head be it. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So is there any last advice or tips that you'd like to share with our listeners, Lisa?
Well, I just want seniors to know, or anybody for that matter, that you don't have to tackle this alone. We're here to help. We're here to help in any capacity and any needs that you have, whether it just be helping declutter your closet, your walk-in closet, your basement. We can spend a couple of hours with you and just help you manage it, help you organize it, help you come up with a structured way of keeping it organized. So you're not in it alone. Don't be embarrassed of the clutter because it's gotten too far. We're here to help, and we are here to help seniors move and downsize and start their next chapter of life.
And so if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
They can call me at Downsizing Diva, 416-818-8249, or they can email me at lisa@downsizingdiva.com.
Awesome. And we'll put those links in the show notes for anyone who wants to get in touch with Lisa. She's got a lot of compassion and non-judgment, which is really important in such a situation, isn't it?
Very important. Very important.
Well, thanks ever so much for sharing your knowledge with us. And
Thank you.
I'm so glad you have such a passion for the work that you do. Thanks for sharing it.
Thank you.
Go to ownthegray.ca to follow us and listen to more great episodes. Or you can listen on Apple, Spotify, Google, iTunes, Amazon Music, Stitcher, and more. This episode of Own the Gray is brought to you by I Am. Discover your unique talents. realize your potential, and align to your path. Take the first step to uncover your life purpose by visiting debrajones.ca/courses.